So this video is going to be about the part stores that I use and why I use these part stores as a mobile mechanic. I buy parts from one auto parts store, and sometimes I buy parts from other auto parts stores, but that's only if I don't find the part that I'm looking for in that auto parts store that I usually buy from. As a business owner, you want your job to be as easy as possible, and I've found that sticking to one auto parts for my parts makes my job easier because I've learned how to use their system. I've learned how to use their website, how to talk to their commercial employees, like when I call for a part, what I say, what I ask for, and what. So I've learned how to work with them. So either you have a mobile auto repair business already, or you are starting one, or you are starting a auto repair shop, and you haven't figured this one out yet. Maybe you can learn something from my experience, as I've been a mobile mechanic for about 3 years now, and I've learned a couple of things in these 3 years as a mobile mechanic. So if you like this video, give it a I like it button, like hit the I like it button, and if you don't like it, hit the I don't like it button. Also subscribe to my channel, comment on this video, and those things help me with the YouTube algorithm, and so I can make more videos like this one. So the auto parts store that I usually buy from, or the auto parts store that I stick with, is O'Reilly Auto Parts. And it's because I can make, first I can make a business account with them, and I can get parts at a discounted price, like at wholesale with them. Second, they deliver parts to my house no matter how small the part is. And they make it easy for me to return the parts that I don't use, that I sometimes get from them, but then I don't use the parts, so I just return them to them, and they don't make a big deal out of it, even if I don't have the receipt, because they have it under my business account. The third reason is because they have a lot of stores here in Washington. No matter where I go, like in smaller cities, they do have a store, at least one store in the small cities. Not that I go to small cities, but I usually go like 30 minutes around where I live. Like if it's more than 30 minutes away, then I'm not going to do that job. I just pass on that job because it's too far out, so I just don't do that job. I just pass on that job. Anyways, but the fourth reason is because they have experienced commercial employees. And this is not with every store that I go to. Like, for example, the store that can deliver the parts to my house. In that store, the commercial guys there, or the guys that take care of commercial businesses, they're not very experienced, or I've had orders messed up with them. So I'm not very excited about them, right? But from where I lived before, there was this one guy called Tim. His name is Tim, and he was a very great guy. He was very knowledgeable with parts. Anytime they would call him, he would ask me the right questions, and he would get me the right parts and get them delivered to me as soon as possible. And he would really take care of me as a customer, as a business. And so, and it's almost like that with all with their stores, especially in their hub stores. Like, their hub store is close to where I live now, so I get my parts at the hub store, where they have more experienced commercial guys. The fifth reason is because I've gotten used to their website. When a customer calls, or when I'm working on a car and I have to make an estimate, I go to their website, I put in the license plate number or the VIN number. The license plate number usually, because it's easier to type in. Then I can just pull up the parts that I'm looking for. I can pull up prices and availability. I can see if it's a special order, if it's a part that I can get from other stores. I can just put in a zip code I'm in, and I can see where the part is at. So that makes it easier for me to write an estimate and send it to the customer, or give it to the customer if I'm working on a car at the customer's driveway or parking lot. So that way it's easier for me to it makes my job easier, and it's easier for me to send an estimate. The sixth reason is they make it easy for me to return parts to them. And I've already talked a little bit about this, but for example, when a car has like more than one option on a part, which I don't know what part it takes, then I just get all the options that the car has, like one or two, three options that it might have. So I get all those parts, and the parts that I don't use, I just return them to O'Reilly, and they get they deposit the money in my bank account, or they give me the cash back if I paid for it in cash. For example, on my 2002 Chevy Express, I just did the brake rotors on it and brake pads. The brake rotors, there are two options on the brake rotors. The first option is a 32.7 millimeters of thickness, and the second option is a 39.1 millimeters of thickness. So one is thicker than the other one, and one is expensive than the other one in these rotor options. And so what I do in those cases is I just get the parts that this car might have or will have. And if the car takes the 32.7 millimeters, then I just install those, and I'll take the 39.1 millimeters back to O'Reilly and return them. And it happens a lot. So I get a lot of parts, and I just accumulate parts in my van, and I just return them to O'Reilly, because I don't want to be running to parts stores, especially if I'm working on a car, like in a parking lot or a customer's driveway. I don't want to be driving to the parts store and then coming back and then installing the right parts and things like that. So I like to get all the parts that it will have. Anyways, but that's why I get the parts that I'm going to need, and if I don't need them, I just return them to O'Reilly, and O'Reilly takes them back without a problem. Those are the main reasons why I only use O'Reilly for parts, and why I only stick with O'Reilly for my parts. Now, when it comes to parts that I can find at O'Reilly Auto Parts, I go to Advanced Auto Parts, because, for example, I was working on a 2011 Volkswagen Jetta, and I was working on the door latch. The door latch was bad, so I went on the O'Reilly website as usual, and I couldn't find the door latch on their website. I called them, they didn't have it, so I went on the Advanced Auto Parts store website, and I pulled up the door latch. I was able to get it, and I ordered it with them, and I got it 2 days later. So I already installed it, and now it has a good door latch. So for things like that, I found out that Advanced Auto Parts will usually have parts for European cars, and also parts for like domestic and Asian cars that I can't get at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Usually it's a little bit of parts that don't really go out, or parts that are rare, but Advanced Auto Parts, they can order them. O'Reilly can't order them, not even as a special order. So I like Advanced Auto Parts because I get the same benefits with Advanced Auto Parts as with O'Reilly Auto Parts. If they had a lot of stores here in Washington, then I would use them more, or I would only use them for my parts, because I can get most of the parts that I'm looking for at Advanced Auto Parts. In states like New York, Florida, West Virginia, as you can see in this map here, the auto parts stores like O'Reilly, this is the map for O'Reilly Auto Parts store. As you can see here, they have a lot more stores than on the west side of the country. Depending on where you live, it's going to be different for you. If you live like on the east side of the country, like over here, or if you live in the middle, or if you live on the west side of the country. And this is the same pattern for all of the other parts stores. This is the map for our Advanced Auto Parts. As you can see here, this is the map for Napa, and there are a lot more stores here. See, Autozone, like you see, as you can see here, there are a lot of stores. California has a lot of them. here, but in Washington, not many. We do have some. Looks like they all start on this side of the country, on the east side, and then they gradually move to like on the west side of the country, but they don't stay in the middle of the country. They do have a couple of stores, but not many. Regardless of where you live, if you can find an auto parts store that you can work with, where you can get benefits like wholesale parts, like discounted parts, where you can make create a business account, easy to return parts, where they have experienced commercial employees, and no matter where you work, you should be able to find one of their parts store near you, like 15 minutes or less from where you are, because it's gonna because if it takes you 15 minutes to go to the store to get parts and then 50 minutes to come back to your job, then that's 30 minutes, and that's reasonable to go pick up parts. That will make your job easier, that will make your job less stressful on you, and that will give you like more time, and it will save you more money, and it will give you more time to get your job done. I hope these tips can help you with your business, because that's the reason why I make these videos. I make them to help you. When I started my business, I really didn't know how to do this, and in these 3 years I've learned these things, and I'm sharing them with you. If this video helps you, like it, because that helps me with the YouTube algorithms, so I can make more videos like this one. Also share, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next video.